Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 2016 Honda Odyssey Elite. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6, and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Honda Odyssey for two reasons. First of all, I think minivans are a very, very, very important segment in the market, and so if I can help anyone decide on the right one, I want to do so. But the second reason is the fact that this is now coming up on 10 years old, and we're going to see how the Honda Odyssey has aged in those last 9 years. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. As well as you can see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance if you want to head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month, as well as there's exclusive audio content. But let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6, better known as the J35. Well, Honda has used this engine for a very long time, and they actually still use it in the current Honda Passport and Honda Odyssey. Oh, and the Ridgeline. Totally forgot about the Ridgeline. It's a fantastic engine. It's simple, it's reliable, and since it's been in production for so long, any of the kinks have been worked out. It's not a 4-cylinder turbo, it's not a weird plug-in hybrid where the batteries might go bad. It's just a simple V6, and that is lovely to see. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, when this generation started, they actually did offer 5-speed automatic, so if you're buying this generation, you might want to check for that, but they upgraded later on to the 6-speed. Last but not least, the Honda Odyssey is front-wheel drive. They have yet to do an all-wheel drive Honda Odyssey. That's okay, but other minivans do offer all-wheel drive, like the Toyota Sienna. How does it feel to drive the Honda Odyssey Elite? Well, it's nice and easy. That is what minivans are supposed to be like, because they have to be able to accommodate tons of different drivers of all statures and backgrounds. So they're easy to get in and out of, they're easy to see out of, the steering isn't too heavy, the throttle isn't too touchy, it just works. Now, the ride quality is a little bit harder than what you might find in an SUV, but that's because minivans are designed to carry more weight, and more weight requires sturdier suspension, which oftentimes hurts the ride quality. So I don't feel like I'm piloting a cloud right now, but that's okay. Minivans are here for a purpose, and a purpose they serve. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and tachometer, and off to the right is my speedometer and fuel. I do get a little digital readout as well. Really, really like that. And moving on to the steering wheel, off to the left we have our audio mode, volume, and channel, as well as our phone options. And off to the right we have our cruise control and information buttons. To the left of the steering wheel, we get a climate control vent, as well as our power sliding doors, lane departure warning, traction control off, rear tailgate, and parking sensors on and off. Up on the door, we do have a blind spot monitoring light, which is very nice to see. And then we have 2 levels of memory seats, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we do get our infotainment display. This does have navigation as well as our audio and Bluetooth. However, the owner has actually retrofitted a module that will run Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, that is not stock. Down below, we have our climate controls. We get heated seats for the front 2 occupants. We get our rear fan speed and climate controls, as well as we do get dual zone. So plenty of climate options here in the Honda Odyssey Elite. Down below, we actually have a second screen. So this actually is a touch screen for the infotainment because the upper screen isn't. And so we get some more information down here. Very, very cool to see that. We also do have a backup camera. Here it is, in case you were curious. And this was 2 years before backup cameras were legally required. So it's very nice to see that option. Down below that, we have buttons for the infotainment. We have navigation and audio and info and phone and brightness and things like that. And we have the shifter off to the left, a very standard Honda shifter. Then we do get our DVD player, USB and 12-volt outlet off to the left, our aux off to the left, and our button for the cool box. That's right, this does come with a cool box that will keep your drinks or objects cold on a longer road trip when you hit this button. Very, very cool to see that. We have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' model test here in the Honda Odyssey Elite from 2016, and it passes with flying colors. Minivans are usually pretty good about this. However, actually the 2025 Honda Odyssey fails the big friggin' model test, so the cup holders have shrank over the last 10 years. But then we get the center console and the seats. The seats are leather, heated, and memory, which has been fantastic. They are lovely seats, and they've held up really well over the last 10 years. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, in the back of the Honda Odyssey Elite, and we have a couple of things to note. First of all, of course, power doors, which I love to see. We also have this fold-down center seat that will operate as cup holders, or you can pull it up and you have a second full bench seat, which is really nice because there's a third bench seat in the back, which means that this is an 8-passenger van. Absolutely love to see all that. Now for the Elite, we also get a DVD player where the remote actually comes out of the ceiling. Very, very cool to see that. And then of course, the very, very wide screen comes down here in the center. We also have our own climate controls, but they're only off to the right here. So whoever's sitting here gets complete control over the rear climate controls. You have fan speed, temperature, and where to send it, as well as on and off. You have lights. Everyone gets little vents in the ceiling like an airplane, which is all very, very nice to see. However, the make or break with the Honda Odyssey is going to be the third row, so let's hop all the way back there. Now, one downside of having this middle seat, although it is nice to have an 8-passenger van, is the fact that there's no aisle in the middle to get into the very back row. So, something to note. Once we are back here, though, I fit fine, even with this seat back. Normally, I'm 5'11", I'm not a small guy. I fit back here very comfortably. I don't think a third person would be able to sit back here all that comfortably, but I'm a big guy. With kids, 3, 3, 1, I mean, you're gonna have a whole soccer team in here. I mean, you know, shout out to Kicking and Screaming. I also have a wall outlet back here. I have video input and volume for headsets. So, I'm pretty, oh wow, and there's an HDMI port all the way over here. I mean, this is a really well-stacked third row. That's pretty sweet. I also get little rear sunshades for the third row. They really thought of everything. And as I'll say, and as I've said a million times, if you have more than 2 kids, a minivan is a must. And this is one of the best ones. And now that they're 10 years old, you could get them for not that expensive with all of these great features. I mean, it's a no-brainer in many senses of the word. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks as a utility truck drives by. Right around the back of the Honda Odyssey Elite, press and hold here on the key fob, and it does have a power-operated rear tailgate, which is very, very nice, especially if you have your hands full. Once we are back here, plenty of cargo space, even when the rear seats are up, which is very nice. However, you can actually fold these in the not stow and go, because that trademark is owned by Chrysler, but stow and go fashion. We also have the Honda Vac. So we have a built-in vacuum cleaner here in the back. This is an absolute must for minivans, and you can get this on Pacifica, which is really, really cool, that you actually get a built-in vacuum, and I believe the bag, yeah, so then you can empty out the bag down there. You also have a 12-volt outlet up here, and like I said, plenty of cargo space. So really, really cool to see that in the back of the Honda Odyssey Elite. Everything you need. Button up here, power tailgate right back down. They really thought of everything. I can't believe it. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I like the look of the Honda Odyssey. We'll talk about why a little bit later on, just personally, but I think it's relatively well styled. They've since moved on from this body style, although it hasn't changed all that much in 10 years. I think it still looks relatively modern, and that's fine enough for me. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Honda Odyssey Elite from 2016? Well, I really like this van. I love minivans just in general. I think that they're done really, really well, and they serve such an important purpose. If you have a family, it's really a no-brainer to buy a minivan. And I know in the last couple years, people are so anti-minivan because it doesn't look cool. You don't want to drive what your mom drove you to school in. I get that slightly, but at the end of the day, it's something built specifically for the purpose of families. I mean, make it easy on yourself. Why try to struggle to get kids into a third row when you can do it easily here in the Honda Odyssey? It doesn't make sense to me. There should be way more minivans on the road, which as I say that, a Honda Odyssey passed me. Oh, a second Honda Odyssey is getting ready to pass me. A buddy. Yeah. And so, my final talking point here is A, that I love this thing, but B, this is my generation's country squire. I always hear stories about the rear-facing third-row seat and the old station wagons of the 70s and 80s, the family machines, the road trip warriors. And I've driven them, and I like them. But I didn't really grow up with the big station wagon. I've reviewed them, and I like them, but I didn't grow up with them. I grew up with this, the Honda Odyssey, and the Toyota Sienna, and the Chrysler Town & Country, and the Dodge Grand Caravan. Much like the wagons of yesteryear, these have big, reliable engines. They might not be thumpy V8s, but they're V6s. They're reliable. This was built in America. This was actually built down in Alabama, much like the Country Squire being built in St. Louis, Atlanta, or LA. And it was a vehicle meant for families. This car has seen many road trips. It's seen soccer matches and dance recitals and band practice and school and your first job, your first date. That's what these cars were built for. And so they have lovingly replaced the station wagon in today's society. But they do all of the things right. They do all of the good things that the station wagon was able to do. Maybe with a little bit less swagger, but ask anyone that grew up with station wagons, and at the time they thought that they were lame. Well, right now, my generation thinks that minivans are lame, but I can tell you right now, they're not. They're so perfect for what you want them to do. This is no different. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. And if you have a family and don't have a minivan, you're making your life harder. You're making your life much harder. Harder than it needs to be. And so, here's the Honda Odyssey. It's fantastic. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Kevin for letting me borrow his Honda Odyssey Elite here today. He's been absolutely wonderful to work with. We're also filming his Lexus RX 350, so I appreciate him for the twofer. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.